Hello Fanatics, I'm Dylan Phillips, and now that we've put out our top 10 list of 2017, let's put out our worst 10 list of 2017. Now I know that this list isn't going to be the exact same as everyone else's, and it's not going to be the order of the films that I gave the lowest ratings. Instead, it's going to be entirely subjective, and what I believed after rewatching or thinking over these films after my reviews, what I believed were the worst films of this year. So we'll start off with the honorable mentions. There isn't very many, but here they are. Rough Night, American Assassin, and Logan Lucky. Starting off at number 10 is Suburbicon. Now this film was one that has a phenomenal premise. People living in an idyllic city in suburban 50s America, and then there's a bunch of crime that goes on, and I thought that was a great idea, but it just didn't deliver. The story's all over the place. It feels like they had bits and pieces of up to 3 stories and kind of just threw them all together in the hope that it would just become a cohesive story. Instead, what we got was a mishmash of 2 somewhat finished stories that kind of just peter out and you don't really care at the end. And I just wish that they'd done a lot more with this and the cast that they had. At number 9, we have Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Now, this one is a step up from the last Pirates movie, however, it's still going through the same motions. You've got Captain Jack as a caricature, the storyline is kind of slow and repetitive, and to be honest, I always thought that the main storyline of Pirates of the Caribbean was Will and Elizabeth's story. That's why the trilogy works so well, and Captain Jack is kind of like a Mad Max character that jumps in and out of different characters' stories. And so when they continued into 4 and 5 and didn't have the same magic, they just kind of relied on the box office numbers of Johnny Depp as Captain Jack. And it kind of works here, especially with some cameos here and there, but overall, At number 8, we have Baywatch. Now, yes, this should be a lot higher, I know that, but it's a guilty pleasure. I mean, Zac Efron, Dwayne Johnson, Alexander Daddario, Priyanka Chopra, what's not to love? But what you get is a heaping pile of crap, because the story just doesn't work. The characters just feel like they're doing skits here and there. There's no development. They're just acting out of character just to push plot forward. Some actors are completely underutilized, and overall, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't do justice to Baywatch. It doesn't do justice to any of these actors. It's just a guilty pleasure to watch if you enjoy them, but in the grand scheme, At number 7, we have Tulip Fever. Now, this is a period drama that stars a huge cast. Alicia Vikander, Dane DeHaan, and Christoph Waltz lead it. And so you'd think that this would be a great period piece. Instead, what you get is this slow, dragging, boring narrative that's supposed to be the second-rate Romeo and Juliet that doesn't even feel like it's any Shakespearean, just that it's trying to be a parody of it. And it parodies it so bad that it's a comedyless Mel Brooks version of a Shakespearean play. And I felt like they could have done so much more with this cast, but instead they squandered it. So, I mean, if you're going to watch something that is more of a period piece, I'd highly recommend Phantom Thread over this one. At number 6, we have Ghost in the Shell. Now, again, this is another one that I kind of enjoyed, and I could see the entertainment value and where it could have gone, but between the abysmal casting of Scarlett Johansson in the lead role and just the mismatched storylines and characters that they had in there and just the underdeveloped parts of the story, it just didn't work in the end. And I feel like, as much as I haven't seen the animated movies, everyone has complained that these ones are, this film is nowhere close to the animated films, and I mean, if people are big fans of that, and At number 6, we have Ghost in the Shell. Now, I can see why this film could be a guilty pleasure to people, and I see the entertainment value in it. However, they squandered the premise, the miscasting of Scarlett Johansson as the lead, and some underdeveloped story and characters make this film boring halfway through. You don't really get invested in the characters. It's more about the fact that it's visually stunning and it looks like a second-rate Blade Runner. At number 5, we have Transformers: The Last Knight. Of course, this one was going to be on the list because, when is a Transformers movie other than the first one not going to be on a top 10 worst list? This one just continues in the same motion of the last ones and goes, big robots fighting, Michael Bay explosions, bam, money. That's basically what they did. They threw in Anthony Hopkins, and he basically does nothing. They threw in Stanley Tucci again, which was a complete waste in this movie, and the moment you see it, it's like, okay, where's this movie going? And then you realize, oh yeah, it's going, no. So overall, like, it's what you expect from a Transformers movie, so if you like them, watch it. If you don't, avoid it. At number 4, we have one of the most disappointing movies of the year, and that is The Mummy. The movie that killed an entire movie universe before it even happened. This movie had so much riding on it, and it had so much potential. I saw so many things that they could have done with this. It could have mimicked how they went with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, much like Iron Man was to that universe as the Mummy would be to the Dark Universe. Instead, they just decided to try and put all of the DCEU movies into this one and did all the concepts of that and figured that they could just jumpstart a universe and not realize that they have to go through the certain obstacles and certain steps in order to build a universe and create that foundation. On top of that, I mean, a lot of people don't like it, but I actually love the original Mummy series. I think it's really funny. It's got that great blend of action and comedy. It's very much in the vein of Indiana Jones, and I thought that this one might do that with a slightly darker tone, but instead it tries to be too funny at times, and it just falls flat. At number 3, we have another disappointing film of the year, King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. This movie is one of the worst of the year. I love the original King Arthur movie. A lot of people don't like that one, but I thought it was gritty. I thought it was entertaining. It has a very good cast, and yet this film feels like a video game at times. It seems out of place. The only good things about it are some acting about it and some visuals, but the fact that the story just seems like it's all over the place, it rushes a little too much, and the general style of the film just really doesn't feel like it fits into this type of movie. It feels like it should have been more of a crime comedy if it was going to follow this style instead of the action epic it was trying to be, and I just feel like this could have been something. They wanted to do 4 or 5 movies, but instead they squandered it on the first one, much like The Mummy. At number 2, we have The Circle. This one is a star-studded cast as well, as it is led by Emma Watson, John Boyega, and Tom Hanks. And it's about the idea that technology is taking over and that we don't have privacy anymore. And this could have worked beautifully, especially in the world that we live in, because it goes into that paranoia part of our brain where we're just thinking, what if we don't have privacy anymore? What if these companies are selling our secrets to other companies? And they've kind of tackled that in some movies, like Enemy of the State, and they've kind of tackled the fact that technology is running the world in Apple-related movies or Facebook-related movies, but here they could have done it with a completely original idea, and instead they squandered it. They went a completely different route, and it just fell flat. It had so much potential, and instead it was just this boring, dragging movie that about half an hour in, I just wanted to leave, but I didn't because of the cast. So if you like the cast and you have nothing else to watch, maybe, but again, this is just so boring, dragging. And here it is, the worst film of 2017. I complained about it a lot in its review, and that is The Snowman. This is one of the worst films I've ever seen. It might have the visuals and the cast, but the story alone makes it worthless. It's nonsensical, it goes all over the place, it's confusing, it's boring, there's no thrill at all. It's just this slow meander through the movie as if you're walking through the snow yourself, instead of this rising climax. And then when it gets to the climax, it's the most boring, anticlimactic conclusion to a film of this year. I don't know what else to say about this movie unless I want to rant for another 5 minutes. So don't see The Snowman, it's a terrible movie. That's my number 1. And there you have it. There's our list of the top 10 worst films of 2017. If you've seen these films, what did you think? And what's your list of the top 10 worst films of 2017? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Dylan Phillips, and thanks for watching. If you liked this video and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Check out our latest video where we rank the top 10 best films of 2017. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. And until next time, Fanatics, keep it real.